He redeemed in peace my soul from those that were battling me, or engaging with me in battle. Because with many were with me. And the simple meaning is that though there was many people that were fighting me, or, as we'll soon explain, in the merit of the multitudes, that's why, or through that, he redeemed in peace my soul. So one is despite the multitudes, one is because of the multitudes. Concerning this pasuk, the Alter Rebbe, the one whose redemption is on the Yutas Kislev, writes in his well-known letter, when I read the pasuk, Pod v'shalom nafshi is redeemed in peace my soul, before I even began the pasuk following it, Yatsasi b'shalom Hashem shalom, I went out in peace from Hashem who is peace. Moving from this, understood the idea of this pasuk is a primary concept in the redemption, and that's why at the culmination of his entire imprisonment, at the moment of his redemption, that's the pasuk he was reading. The pasuk and this very pasuk itself, even though the pasuk already is primary, the primary part of the primary, the words, he redeemed in peace my soul. This is understood even more so, according to what the Chazal say, the well-known Chazal in the Gemara Masechtas Berachos al pasuk zeh. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, whoever is involved in Torah and doing acts of kindness and davens with a minyan, Mailan Yolov, I consider it ki'ilu Da'ani li ulavone ben umas ha'olam, as if Hashem says, if you redeemed me, Hashem himself, and my children, Klal Yisrael, from amongst the nations of the world. That's what it takes. Learning Torah, doing acts of chesed, and davening with a minyan. If you shall have made the Mashanamar Pod v'shalom, like we derive from what it says, that he redeemed in peace, Rashi explains, this is someone that was involved in matters of peace. In other words, these three things are hinted in the word shalom, or two of the things at least are hinted in the word shalom, because shalom goes on the words of peace. The Hainu Torah is called words of peace. The Chsiva, it says shalom, all of its paths are peace. And so too, doing acts of kindness is also peace. Obviously, since he does acts of kindness with his own body to a fellow, so the other person recognizes that you love him, you're your friend. You come to brotherhood and peace. So too, someone that davens with a minyan. So over here, it's hinted in two parts of the pasuk, both shalom, like we'll soon explain, and B'ram Hoyim Modi. In addition to the fact that concerning this it says that with many they were with me. That what does it mean with many? They were with me. Sheispalalu imi. Kipirish Rashi that Dvar Malchus was saying. Rashi explains that many davened with me. So that's like davening with a minyan. That's the idea that. It's through that there's the pod of a shalom. But yesh bezeh gam inyan hashalom gemilas chasadim. Also, davening with a minyan also has the idea of peace, like gemilas chasadim. How come? Ki v'shenasa kirav levavis l'chol elu shenimtzoyim ba'oset tzibur mespalim yachar. There becomes a closeness between all the people and to all the people that are found in the same congregation, the same community, and are davening together. This unity is even more so represented and expressed by the Chazan. since he is one representative for all the different parts of the tzibur, of the congregation, so as the representative of all of them, he encompasses all of them and he affects peace with all of them. So that's why in the word shalom, even before you get to B'Rabim Hayimadi, already Padav Shalom Nafshi, you already see the concept of the learning Torah, Gmos Chasadim, and davening B'Ramim. So he says, we could add to this, because of the inyan that with many he was with me, meaning like Rashi says that many davened with me. The truth is, even 3 is already called a Rabbim. We find in Mamar Chazal. In other words, it says Pada b'Shalom Nafshi. Then it says Ki b'Rabim Hayimadi. So it begins with the word Shalom, and then it includes and goes to the idea of Rabbim, which could mean 3. But by prefacing it with the word Shalom, Shalom b'Tachlis Hashleimus, top of page Vav. Shalom, peace in its ultimate perfect state. When there's a congregation that's a full congregation, a full community, we know that the idea of an Eda Kedosha, with which you're allowed to say a Davar Sheba Kedusha, is never fewer than 10. So if it would only say Rabim, Kibar Rabim Hayimadi, that was the only way how we derived the idea of the davening, the mile of community, etc., then we could say 3. Since it says Shalom, Shalom has to be the ultimate level, not just Rabim, but it's total peace. The ultimate level of peace includes the idea of 10, davening with a million. Ois base. Since the idea of peace is a primary thing and a general thing, both concerning godliness and concerning neshamas. Like the Gemara says, P'da'ani li ulavonai. He redeemed, it's considered someone that does all these things in a way of peace. He redeemed me and he redeemed my children. So that's a lakus and neshamas Yisrael. And not only that, and it's also, the peace is also matters for the entire world, because it doesn't just say he redeemed me and my children, but the focus is from amongst the nations of the world, which indicates an association, a connection with the nations of the world as well. So therefore, peace, Shalom, has to be a core and primary thing in the service of a person to his master. As we know, I was created to serve my master. Through Torah mitzvahs. In this, the idea of peace, the idea of Torah mitzvahs, is dependent godliness and neshamas and the entire state and situation of the world. Line 11, that we could explain first the general service in the descent of a neshama down here below. It's a descent from a high building or a high roof to a deep pit, a dungeon. Until even a state in a situation of exile. Like it's explained, this is mamish, the golus of the Shechina. This is similar what took place in the descent of the neshama down here below. That in the descent of the neshama there is the golus Shechina along with the descent of the neshama. This is similar to the golus Shechina that occurred because of the sin of the Eitz Hadas. And progressively, there's the descent of the neshama, there's the descent through the Eitz Hadas, And from this comes about afterwards the idea of Golus Hashchina, the way it's in the time of Golus, in the literal sense in Golus, when we were sent out of Eretz Yisrael. All of this begins, what started all of this is the Golus of Nefesh Elokis in the Nefesh Habamis that occurs through the descent of the Neshama down here below. And the ultimate intention in this descent, maybe like the Alter Rebbe brings in Tanya from Eitz Chaim, that the neshama itself doesn't need any repairs and elevations, and not elevations. It doesn't need any repairs. There's nothing wrong with the neshama that it came down here to fix up. Why did it descend down here below? That's to fix up the body and the animal soul. Through serving his maker in fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs. The way how he could be serving his maker could be in a way of a war. That's what it means, krav, a battle, a war, like the pasuk says, top of page Zion. It's a battle. How is he dealing with the gullus and how's he dealing with elevating the nefesh habahamis through a war? Like it says, that each nation, meaning Yaakov and Esau, and by extension the nefesh elokis, nefesh habahamis, Yetzirah, Yetzirah, when one is stronger, the other one is in a state of weakness. Like the Master of Redemption, Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, concerning the fact that the way of doing it is possible through a war. That's why the pasuk says, "Redeemed in peace." Is the redemption of the godly soul from the body and the animal soul. So the Shalom has to be in a way of peace. Just to be understood by prefacing what's explained in Torah parts of Shavuot, which is parts of Vayeshev Shebizman HaGolus. In the time of Golus, Hanhagas Yisrael B'chinas Yosef, the way the Yidden are acting is in the level of Yosef, or the way the Yidden are being run or led, it's in the way of Yosef. Like sheep are led Yosef, meaning that the Yidden are likened to Yosef the way they are being led. And Alter Rebbe connects this in Torah of Parsha Vayeshev Gam Chaloim Yosef, also with the dream of Yosef. Ki Chaloim Yosef Hoy Chaloim Emes. The dream of Yosef is not like our dreams. It was a real dream. It was a true dream. Shuhuin Yenitzchi is an everlasting matter. V'Chaloim Shekol Koilel Es Klolus Am Yisrael. It's not just everlasting because it happened with Yosef HaTzadik and involved the Shvatim, etc., but also because it's a dream that includes the general idea of Klal Yisrael. Shari Noisef L'Kach Shekol Yisrael N'Kroim Al Shem Yosef K'Niskel in addition to the fact that we just now brought a pasuk, Noyek Atzayin Yosef, that all Klal Yisrael are called Yosef. So therefore, when something occurred to Yosef, it's as if it occurred to Klal Yisrael. But another more practical reason it has to do with Klal Yisrael is because Toichin Shnei Achaloimis Bepashtus. What's the content? What was the simple meaning of the dreams that Yosef saw with the sheaves and the stars? What was it? What was the sheaves that he saw? What was the stars that he saw? It was about the 12 tribes of Yisrael. That includes the entire children of Yisrael, which means the entire foundation, the entire source of Klal Yisrael, the way each one is divided in their specific avodah. Do as it's known, Shloishes Avos Avram Yitzchak Yankov, Him Avos shall call Echad ve'Echad Misrael. The three forefathers of Avram, Yitzchak, Yankov are called the fathers of every single Yid, and only they are called fathers. Why is that so? Because their avodah is something that's transmitted to and applicable to every single Yid. But after the level of the avos, so then there's the what breaks down. It's like comes down into smaller parts for each Shevet specifically. Afterwards, the avodah is divided into 12 gates, Keneged Shnei Masar Shvatim, corresponding to the 12 Shvatim, Shiftei Nachlasecha, the Shvatim of your inheritance of your lot. Ba'ofen, in such a manner, should call Echad B'Shari Yal, in such a type of way that every single Shevet has his own shar, has his own gate, his own channel, his own roadway to go up and be Nifchaber and Alakus. Meaning that we have 12 distinct types of avodas that Klal Yisrael is represented by the 12 Shvatim. So therefore, in these dreams, it's hinted the manner of the service of the Yidden in the time of Golus, like we will speak about following. In other words, this is, like we said before, this is something that has to do with the whole Klal Yisrael. It's not an individual thing that happened to Yosef, but it's something that impacts us all because it represented in the dream the whole Klal Yisrael and all its different flavors and colors, etc. Oizdal. The idea behind this is like the Alter Rebbe explains. Again, in Torah Oir of the Parsha of Vayeshev, Shalzman HaGolos Namar, concerning the time of Golos, it says, Hayinu kecholmim, we were like dreamers. What's the concept of dreamers in Golos? Like the Alter Rebbe explains the matter also in our service of Hashem. Just like in a dream, there could be a joining of two opposites. So too we see also in the time of Golos. Like the pasuk says, though it says, I am asleep, which the Zohar explains what time, when do we say that Yidden are asleep? So the Zohar explains, Bigalusa, in exile I'm asleep. Top of page Ches. Mikol Mokim, still in all, the pasuk continues in Shir Hashirim, Libei Er, my heart is awake, and the Chazal explain, what does it mean, my heart's awake? La Kadosh Baruch Hu l'seirasei l'mitzvosav, that even though I'm asleep in Golus, my heart's awake to the Hashem and His Torah and His mitzvahs. So the Rebbe says that seemingly this is a contradictory statement. How can you say, Libi Sheina, I'm sorry, that Ani Sheina v'Libi Eir, Av Shaluchora is a Shnei Hafachim, though seemingly this is two opposites. In other words, how can you say that the person is awake, his heart is awake to Hashem, if in actuality you're saying he's asleep in a state of Golus? Either he's asleep or he's awake. What's this about? And the Rebbe is going to say to what extreme his sleep it overtakes him. To such a degree that his external avoided, the avoided way it's revealed, can be in such a manner that you need the idea that you have to coerce him until he says, I want, whether it's concerning giving a get or fulfilling a vow about a korban, etc. Like the well-known ruling of the Rambam. The true will of a Yid, to fill all the mitzvahs. Even if he finds himself in such a state and situation, to be able to reach that, his true will to fulfill all the mitzvahs, or legalize and to reveal it, you need to force him, you need to coerce him. So in other words, he's asleep because you see what you have to do to him to get him to do it. Still, and he's going to go on further. Another aspect that shows the sleepiness of the Yid in Galus. So he says in line 8, in addition to this, the general avoid is in such a manner after a Yid's morning schedule, that he goes to Shul to daven, and from Shul he goes to the Beis Medrash to be involved to be involved in learning Torah. Then he gets into the world. That's when he comes to be involved in the custom of the land, meaning in doing work. It has to be in such a way that in all your ways, in other words, even when you're at work and doing your own activities, you have to know the Eibishter. It's still, after the whole introduction of davening and learning, it's a great avoida, it's a difficult avoida. Behind this means, even though his davening in Shul was an appropriate type of davening, and his learning in the Beis Medrash was also appropriate. Because of the concealment and covering of the world. The very meaning of the word olam means concealment, so you see how powerful the concealment is. It's difficult for him to act in the ways of the world, meaning to be engaged in physical activities and making a living, etc., in a way that all your ways you should know him. And or even only in a manner of in all your ways, that all your actions should be for the sake of heaven, which is a lesser degree, like the Rebbe explains in many places. Means at the present time I'm experiencing an awareness of Hashem in whatever I'm doing, and means that I am doing something that the future will be of a mitzvah and so on. Va'ad, this is just what he's missing, but it could even be chas v'shalom she'chola liyos etzloi hanoga she'ein masim et klal kol. It's possible that the person should act in a manner that's not appropriate at all. So, because of that, he needs a tefillah of mincha. Mincha, as we know, corresponds to the afternoon tamid. So the Chazal say that what was the afternoon tamid was it would atone for untoward, unwanted, negative things during the day. Just like the morning tamid would atone for not wanted things by night, like it's brought down in the Gersa Tshuva. So therefore, even though this looks so confusing, externally he doesn't seem to be awake to the Eibishter. So that's the idea of the dream. He's in a dream state. So he says in line 3, to repair this state and situation of being like dreamers, that there should be the interpretation for dreams for good, that there are 3 particular types of psukim that the Gemara says that when a person had a bad dream, so they say 3 psukim that talk about transformation to good, and come super that's the idea of Yosef, that was an interpreter of dreams. Like explained at length in the parsha of Vayeshev when this mimer was said. Not only are the dreams interpreted for good, it's the ultimate goodness. Yosef becomes the ruler. But where did it all start? With the dreams of Yosef. That dreams seem to be a negative. Whether it's the dream that we were making bundles in the field, whether the dream of the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down, as we will learn later on. It's all about the transformation of the negative aspects of dreams to the positive concept of dreams, like we're talking about in Avodas Hashem, that it shouldn't be a negative of a contradiction between who he really is and how he is outwardly.